to ask the Minister when will he fund the rollout of a social and affordable housing building programme on the 50 acres of council-owned land banks in County Louth, in view of the fact that we're in the midst of a housing emergency.
Minister, 2 minutes.
The development of publicly owned lands for housing is a key government priority. In 2019, the government will provide over £2.4 billion for housing, and all local authorities are encouraged to bring forward viable and appropriate development proposals which can be funded through the range of schemes and programmes that have been put in place. In relation to County Louth, my department is in regular contact with the local authority, as are myself and Minister Murphy as well, regarding the accelerated delivery of social, affordable and private housing. In relation to social housing delivery, under the Government's Rebuilding Ireland Action Plan, 194 homes have been completed and 740 further homes are currently at various stages of progress in the social housing construction programme across Louth, which is being added to on an ongoing basis. Furthermore, a site at Mount Avenue, Dundalk, is approved under the Local Infrastructure Housing Activation Fund for funding of over £3.3 million for an access road, which will support 200 homes initially, but potentially up to 1,200 on wider lands associated with that. The Government also provided £310 million under the Services Site Fund in Budget 2019 for enabling infrastructure on council lands to facilitate affordable housing. The first call issued to local authorities, including Louth County Council, in June, and while Louth did not make an application, further calls will be made and the Council will have further opportunities to submit applications. My department also hosted an affordable housing workshop for local authorities last week, where site development and affordable housing were discussed. Further bilateral engagement between local authorities and my department will now follow, with a view to progressing further social and affordable housing projects on council lands. I want to be very clear on this. As far as we're concerned as ministers, we want more projects to be brought forward. I've sat with Louth County Council officials and housing teams and county managers. I've asked them to put in place a pipeline of projects to increase the number of housing they're bringing forward over the years ahead. So we're very committed to this as well. They have land bank and they have enough land. They have over 68 hectares that they could bring forward proposals to up to 1,700 houses. But again, reference to the point Minister Murphy made earlier on, we want to make sure that local authorities bring forward proposals, not just for social housing, but also for affordable housing, and also work with the private sector as well.
Munster's first supplementary.
Thanks. Thanks, Ciarán. Minister, my question was very specific and it related, no it wasn't actually, it's the same old spiel every time, the 50 acres of council-owned land banks that are lying barren of any houses. Now, somebody else referred earlier to the fact that you're 8 years in government. Are you aware that Louth County Council have been paying millions out of their budget every year in interest only on those land banks? And are you aware that they have consistently asked the Department for funding for the rollout of social and affordable housing? What is the point in having land banks? What is the point in you collating where these land banks are? Even after 8 years, you still did not release funding. Those land banks would build upwards of 800 houses on those, if the political will was there. But that's the reality, isn't it, Minister, that the political will is not there, that you don't believe in social housing. You talk about your land development agency. I mean, that's the biggest farce that you ever come out of all the spiel that you've given in the midst of this housing emergency. It's an insult. But do you ever think, I mean, you're dealing with people, there's one particular family
Minister,
of 4 or 5 sharing one room in emergency accommodation that's been there for months. There's 3 and 4 generations of a family living under one roof.
Exceeded your time, Minister English,
and you continue to look at your phone.
Again, as I was very clear on this, because I was very clear with my answer. You actually have 68 hectares of land, not 50 acres of land, available in Louth local authorities to bring forward housing. And you can accommodate 1,700 houses. And we are very clear, and I'll say it again for the record, there is funding available to bring forward more schemes on Louth County Council own. I can't be any clearer than that. We have engaged, we've sat with them, myself. I am very aware that they're paying interest on land, on debts they have associated with land, and I made it very clear to them. The best way to solve that problem is to develop the lands and to bring forward proposals. And again, the most recent opportunity was on the Affordable Sites Initiative, the Service and Land. Louth County Council didn't make an application for that. And I'm going to be very clear, there's a second round, a second call we made very soon, and I would hope, and we'll certainly work with them, to bring forward proposals on that one as well, because we want to see the land bank developed. We're all for that. We also made it very clear a number of months ago that we would fund some feasibility works on all their sites to be able to bring forward proposals as well. So we want these lands developed, and that's black and white.
Final supplementary.
Minister, I'm sure you're aware that Louth County Council had an overspend of several million this year, which resulted in the fact that they can't actually supply housing adaptation grants. They can't carry out repairs. There's people as we speak in Drogheda and Dundalk and throughout County Louth their heating is broken, but they can't send out people because that's the financial dire straits that they're in. Now, are you telling me that Louth County Council, the CEO of Louth County Council and the Director of Services for Housing has point blank refused to roll out or to get onto the department about funding the rollout? I wanted to make that clear, that they have point blank said, Minister, we don't want housing on this land. And have you been there offering them money for the rollout of social and affordable housing that they have refused? I want you to clarify that on the record. The other thing is, as I referred to earlier, your land development agency. Now, I hope you don't even hallucinate about targeting these council-owned lands for that farce you have, where only 10% of those 800 houses would be social and only 30% would be affordable. But affordable, on your thinking, is 320,000 a year, which would mean that a person would have to have 32,000 deposit, would have to have a mortgage of 288,000 and would have to be earning a salary of 82. Would you get real?
Minister to respond. 1 minute.
Again, asking Carl, I hadn't mentioned the Land Development Agency at all in my answers, but I'm very clear that we've sat with Louth County Council. They have a pipeline of projects to deliver over 740 houses over the next year or two. We've been very clear. We would like more pipeline, more projects. And there are schemes there to do that. We're very happy to engage with them, and we're funding that. We are very clear. As a government, our job is to make sure there's social housing delivered, affordable housing delivered, and also to increase the number of private housing, which thankfully is happening as well. And local authorities are involved in that. Where there's land banks that can deliver all three of those and help recoup some of the cost that Louth spent in the money, that's what they should be used for as well, where it's suitable. Because some of those are very large sites, and it wouldn't be suitable to bring forward just social housing on it. Louth local authority are very aware of that, and they've engaged on sites as well. We will engage with them. We'll make available our technical teams to help them develop those sites. But absolutely, yes, there's more opportunity there for more projects, for more sites to be developed, and they haven't refused, and we haven't refused. No one's refused each other whatsoever. We're very clear. I'm saying to you, there's opportunities there and schemes that we will work with them for them to develop on. We're an open book in our department. There is a pipeline of projects there that I'm happy with. We want that increased.
Thank you, Deputy John Crown.
And the funding is there to do it as well.